Hey everybody, welcome back to the Knowledge Broker podcast. This is actually our season finale. I'm Joshua Campbell, your host, and joining me as always is
Trisha's way.
Yeah.
Wow, season finale.
Yes.
Can't believe we're
Yeah.
here.
How many have we done?
This will be number 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
16.
That's like 4 months.
Yeah, it is. I've enjoyed it. It's
What a
been
journey.
fun. Yeah. It's been neat. We've been talking about podcasts with people now that we're doing podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And we start to think about like what we talk about and what we do here. I can say for one that I'm really proud of the stuff that we've been talking about. It's been really eye-opening, and it's funny how when you talk about things, often it makes you more creative and you think about other ideas as well.
It's true. It's like once it's out there in the universe, it's like you can't ignore it. It's just
Yeah.
like you have to talk about it. You're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like, and it's crazy because like this is what we're doing for, fun in a way, but it's also for work, and it's
Yeah, exactly.
It's just
You have to
another-
have fun to work though, right? We have
exactly.
to.
It's just like another way that we're enjoying our jobs and having fun making these things.
Yeah.
But I can't believe 16 episodes.
Yeah, it's been neat. I feel like people don't realize the all inner workings that goes on here, and Trish does a lot of the setup and the thought process for
lot?
behind all almost. I give my 1 cent, and I sit down and shut up. I sit down and talk. I don't sit down and shut up.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So thank you very much for doing this as well.
Thank you. That's very nice. Yeah, no, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's something that I've really enjoyed doing, and I can't wait to do it more next year. And
Yeah.
Josh and I have been discussing doing like mini episodes along the way, so that there's not going to be a dead silence from us for a couple months. But it's been a lot of work. It's been more work than I thought it would be, but it's work that I've enjoyed doing, and I'm really looking forward to making next season better and bigger than this one.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
Yeah. So, has there been any specific highlights for you then along the way? Any topics that you were really excited about?
I feel like although we've talked a lot about our business here and how we function at Knowledge Broker, which has been great.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people probably wonder, like, what are you guys doing there? What are you guys talking about? And just so everybody knows, Trish and I, we sat down several months ago, and we thought about doing a podcast and talking about like the inner workings of what happens here at our business. And it kind of it exposes us, but also creates conversation. I've been surprised by a lot of the feedback that we've got from people that say that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
And keep going about these kind of topics, because that's kind of stuff that I'm always thinking about as well. So, I mean, on the overall scale, I feel like it's hard for me to pinpoint it, because it's funny how we're literally just reiterating a lot of the stuff that goes on in our everyday life. We're just putting it into a conversational episode.
Exactly. I mean, we have these conversations literally every single day, and we've just put it into a format that it makes it seem like these are really well
We're just
thought
recording
out.
it.
Yeah, literally, honestly, like we finish episodes and we're like, oh, let's talk about them
and
some
on
more.
to the next.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think one of the best bits about this, and I'm excited because this last episode will kind of encompass everything that we've talked about too, but that there's so many things that I've discovered along the way that, one conversation leads into another, and that conversation leads into another, and you just kind of get into this flow of things that you never really, it doesn't really form itself usually when you're having a conversation, but in this format it kind of does. And I can safely say that starting this podcast, like 16 weeks ago, and even longer, when we had those discussions of what do we want this podcast to look like, what did we want to talk about, it's a lot of things have changed for me. Like, it's weird.
Even on a talking basis, talking into the microphones, making sure that you set it up properly so that people can hear you talk concisely. We phase out questions. We only take on so much in an episode. All like the logistics of it, we learn as well.
Oh my gosh. I was just watching our first episode, I guess today. And it's crazy how visually even we've changed. And it's like, it's just because you learn as you go, right?
Yeah.
Every week I feel like I changed up the settings and the camera angles a little bit. And it's kind of awesome. I get to watch it. I'm like, this only happened 16 weeks ago.
Yeah. And we get feedback from people constantly. Almost always good. No one ever says anything bad. but it's kind of like they give us feedback. So the interesting is we tweak as we go as well. And we even had a couple sticky notes around our podcast to remind us of things to do. Be more excitable, more eye contact. All that stuff.
Josh,
so we
don't zone out.
Sure, yeah, that too. It's been neat. It's been exciting, and if we've gotten this far after 16 episodes, God only knows how we're going to get in 16 more. I think it'll be 10 times even better than it already is.
Yeah, I can safely say that, like as well, I think one of my favorite episodes we recorded, which was something that I can still say like I think about quite often, is killing your comfort zone.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That was one of my favorite episodes we did because it was so applicable in business, but also in life. And I remember that wasn't one of the original ones we thought of. Like Josh and I literally sat down and we probably got together about 30 something ideas, right?
Yeah.
And initially I was like, oh my gosh, we can make a 24 episode season. And then by episode 5, I was like, oh my gosh, no. Like that takes some manpower behind that one. So I was like, no, we're going to combine them a little bit more and make them a little bit more precise. But the comfort zone one was something that we hadn't really discussed beforehand, but it was something that, I mean, we talk about comfort zones all the time in our own work, and it only made sense that we bring it to this stage and talk about it here, and along with a lot of the other ones. But that one particularly was one of my favorite episodes to record.
Agreed. Yeah, I feel like the ones that aren't as planned, where they go unplanned yet seem constructive.
Yeah.
Those are the fun ones.
And even like our Ice Ice Baby sing-along was really fun.
Yeah, I like that. Little one-off cameos.
Showing our true colors.
What are we doing today for our season finale?
Today's episode, like I said, it does encompass a lot of things that we're talking about. It encompasses basically leaving your mark on your business, on your clients, just in the grand scheme of things, leaving your mark. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it was because I feel like we've given out so many tips along the way as to how you can leave your mark. Like, for example, if we think back to like using your creative mind, our second episode that we did, we talked about being able to use your creative mind more than just like, are you a good painter? Are you a good artist? Like being able to take that extra step.
Yep.
And those are ways that I feel like you can leave your mark. So that's kind of what I wanted to take away. But the first thing I want to say is when we are like deciding, how we're going to be, how our business is going to run, did you ever think about how people would think about you? Like, did you ever think, oh, how will I be perceived? How would people talk about me to their friend or something like that?
With regards to our podcasting?
No, like our business, like your business. Like
I don't usually operate on a caring what others think, so to speak, especially if I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But it does make sense that I often do take in other people's perspectives and opinions. So I try to empathize with people's situations so that I am being my best person for who I am, but also my best for them as well.
Yeah.
So I definitely consider it. It's not top of mind. I feel like you gotta have your blinders on a little bit and do things confidently without having to care too much what people think. Because ultimately, if we get wrapped up in that, it's a spiral of a world.
And so I'm glad you said that because I don't think a lot of people do, and it's one of those things that I was thinking about it today, and I was thinking, I wonder how many businesses actually think about what other people would describe them as, would think about them as, and it's not like what we talked about in the past where, ask for feedback, get people's opinions on things. It's how would people describe you? Like, how would people describe Joshua Campbell? Would they say, he's a kind person, he's an optimistic person? And that's what I wanted us to focus on today, is truly thinking about how your mark is going to be created, how your mark is met, and how people kind of perceive you and talk about you. Because feedback is great. Don't get me wrong. Feedback is amazing. But if someone was to go to like their aunt and say, hey, I just worked with this amazing real estate agent, what else are they going to say about you?
Yeah. The way people say things about you, it's almost like, gossip.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about gossip.
Mm-hmm.
Do people gossip good things about you or gossip bad?
Yes, absolutely. I think that there is good gossip and then there is bad gossip.
Yeah. Gossip is not, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I'd like to hope that people talk well about me when I'm not around. I try to do things good in life, and obviously people can be very particular or negative or I guess, judgmental and compare ones against others, which we always do. But I'd like to say, when I look at other people, often I try to identify strengths, and I go for alignment.
Yeah.
So people would say, like, who gets, like, if I'm going to hand out a job to somebody, a client or a friend, and it's in regards to, say, construction or house renovation, I don't send them all to one renovator. Not because they're the best. I send it to the people that would align best with that client. So, I mean, for me, it's kind of like, I am who I am. You are who you are. We're not made for everybody, and that is what it is. So as long as people, if you do a good job in this world, they'll just align you with the right people that will be the exact same as you. To be brutally honest, too, if you do things in this world that are a bit shady, often I align shady people with shady people sometimes. Like, it's almost like the people that are looking to cut pennies and sharpen pennies, I put those with the people that love cutting pennies and sharpening pennies. It's kind of like, put them together and let them figure it out themselves, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole thing. So leaving your mark is aligning yourself with people who will go on to speak kindly about you when your business is operating and when your business is not operating. I mean, there's lots of times where you see people who, might not succeed at one thing, or, they might quit their job or move on. But at the end of the day, you still want people to have a good impression of you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the gist of what I want to talk about today. And like I said, this ties into literally everything we've ever talked about on the podcast. So if there's something that specifically speaks to you, there's probably a corresponding video in our repertoire that would explain it even more so.
Okay.
So I wanted to kind of just pinpoint a couple ways that you can leave your mark in a very positive way. And you actually said one with making sure people get to the right people. That's actually a really big pro and a really big step to doing that. If you know that someone, is a penny saver or whatever, and you put them with the penny saver, that means that to them, then they're like, okay, Joshua looked at what my needs were. He didn't look at who would be best for the job or who, it comes highly regarded. He put me with the best person for me.
Yeah.
So that speaks very highly to you.
Yeah.
So good job.
Yeah.
It's
it's not even a, and I don't do it with like negativity. No one does.
No.
You don't go like,
not.
oh, I'll stick them with so-and-so. It's kind of like, that's the same kind of personality that you are. Put them
Exactly.
together. No different than if you were like setting up dates for people. Like, you would be like, okay, would they get along with that person? Blind datey kind of stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, but again, I just wanted to give you some kudos to that because that is a really great way of showing that you care about someone and going the extra mile to make sure that they are aligned up with other people in their sphere. So another way you can do it is to approach people and ask them if they need any help before they come to you. So I know we do this a lot, like advertisements is a really great way to kind of help weave the way for people. But even in retail, even if you're sitting at a desk or something like that, being the first one to reach that customer and to say, hey, how are you doing? Do you need any help? If they say no, let them on their way. But at least you've still made the interaction. You showed your friendliness and you showed your eagerness to help.
I find it's gratefulness. It's kind of like go in with stuff with gratitude.
Yeah.
Go in with offering first. It's kind of like, it's no different than any other relationship where if you meet somebody for the first time, open up the door for them. You're going to walk through. You know what they're going to do? They're going to grab the next door and open it for you.
Yeah.
And then the relationship goes back and forth like that. Constantly value offer. No different than what you're saying there. We try to make sure that we offer as much as we possibly can. And then when someone needs our services, they ask us. So it's the exact same thing. Offer. Once in a while, you don't even have to ask.
Yeah.
People will ultimately come to you because you've already been giving them so much that they want to work with you.
Yeah. Another one is make your contribution greater than the reward. So this goes into make them not feel like they're just a piggy bank. Make them feel like they're just not they're not the reward. You get their business, you get a commission, let's say.
Yep.
Make them feel like what they accomplish, what they get out of this is the reward for you.
Yeah.
And again, that's a very simple thing to do. If someone comes to say you're a dietitian or something, and they're like, I want to lose 10 pounds. Make that your reward. Okay, we're going to help you lose that 10 pounds. Don't look at it. Don't let them feel like if I help you lose 10 pounds, I get like
You're gonna pay me?
$10,000, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So make them feel like what they're overcoming or accomplishing is your reward,
Yeah.
and it will make them feel so much more validated and special that that will leave a very positive mark on them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. There's so many ways to look at it, and a lot of people do work on this basis of payment and receiving money in exchange. And you think about it's that transactional thing. It's for people that do transactional, you're a commodity. They'll go and they'll look at one gas station to another gas station to another gas station. It's all the same price. Go to the gas station that's the closest. Maybe even if the penny drops a little bit, go to the one that's a little bit cheaper. If you're a commodity, you're transactional. If you're doing the transformational stuff, which is the experience stuff, which is exactly what you're talking about, that's when people actually come back constantly and there's loyalty. But then it's also a relationship that exists that's well beyond the business. Make it not about the business of that relationship. It's not the transaction, it's the lifelong journey, and knowing that they're going to be with you for the rest of your life, helping you along as that partner in that role. So if it's a real estate agent like us, it's like I want to be their person that they can call, their liaison for the rest of their life, and I give them the opportunity to do so. And we stay in relationships by offering value and keeping the communication lines open.
Exactly. Another one, and my last one for this, of course, like always, check the comments below and you'll get a little bit more. But the last one I have is just being honest with them. So being genuine, then open up yourself a little bit more intimately. I mean, a great example is like we record in Josh's house. Like this is a very inside look at who you are as an individual. Like
we only
obviously
sleep
Josh
30
likes the
feet
color
away.
blue. Yeah. I guess that's fair. Exactly. Like he makes food back there. Like that's a very, I guess, personal way to show like who you are and get an inside look at your life. People don't want to work with people who are, closed off, that they're positioned behind a steel glass or a steel grated door or something like that. So being able to be open, honest with them, sharing your failures, sharing your successes, it's just something that's a little bit extra that goes a significantly long way.
Yeah, I guess it's taught early too, right? By parents. You can learn more as you become older, but if you think about the way that your parents taught you to become friends with other people, it's no different than the way that you carry on your business relationship with others. Honesty, no question. Communication, no question. Listening, talking, communicating, being generosity, being genuine, not being selfish, all these things that would go together to say, if you want to have a good friend, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
And then the kid goes, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden you take that exact same representation to your business, and then no question, you have good clients.
Yeah, because you have basically curated good friends.
Yeah.
And that's something like, I mean, I've done the same thing. I used to work at a gym, and my clients were my best part of the day. Like having them come in and just getting a smile from them and saying hello and blah, blah, blah. It was very rewarding. And I know like I have a bunch of them on Facebook still, and they'll reach out to me every now and again. And it makes me feel really good that I was able to build those relationships enough that even though I don't work there anymore, they still can talk to me and contact me.
It wasn't a transaction.
Exactly. It wasn't a transaction to me, and it wasn't to them, and it made them feel really good.
Yeah.
So again, those are just a couple ways to go that extra mile and make someone feel really good about their decision to work with you, and the loyalty will last, because at the end of the day, like their referrals, their opinions, their feedback, that's what's going to take you into the next stage of your business and help your business stay afloat.
Yeah. And not to mention it feels good. I mean, if you want to, people that do transactional basis, we see them everywhere in this world. They're everywhere. I don't see there's something about them that they aren't hoppy. They're not as casually. I talked about this with my wife recently, where we talked about people that are more talkative and relatable are often happier people. There's something about it where like the one person that just goes, oh, hi, how you doing? Hi, how you doing? And they go around and they shake 100 hands in the room. How happy are they really? Like if you think about the one person that comes up and gets to know someone genuinely, I truly believe that they're in a position where they're probably in a better state of mind. They're proud, they're confident, they believe in themselves to the point that that people want to know them as well. Yeah,
exactly, and it is quite substantial. Like it is when you have someone who approaches you and then they talk to you and not in like a creepy or obsessive way.
Yeah.
it demonstrates that they're actually here to meet someone genuine and build a genuine relationship with.
Yeah.
Which in business, even like that's the thing, even with your clients are great. Business partners, great. Your coworkers, great. Your community, great. Building those relationships with them and building those ties it's substantial.
Makes it worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is worth it. One thing I'd like to point out is I love when you're responding to some of the ones I said, because I'm like, we've had these conversations before. So what I'm going to do is in the description below and in the blog post, you can find every single one that I list, like I said, will connect to something that we've talked about already. So if there is one that specifically speaks to you and you're like, hey, I want to know more about it, you'll be able to click on the word of it or whatever, and it'll take you to one of our other videos.
Awesome.
Because like I said, we have talked about these before, and it feels really cool that we're wrapping up with something that has incorporated all of them.
It's a summary.
It is a summary in a way. Yeah, exactly. We're going off with a bang. Leaving your mark is very impactful.
Yeah.
But I did want to ask you, 15 years ago when you started real estate, did you ever think you'd be sitting here talking in a microphone about your business?
It's a good question.
Opening yourself up in like kind of a vulnerable way?
Yeah, I'd be opening myself up, no question. I already did naturally, and I do still naturally. Putting me in front of a microphone.
But like 15 years ago.
Oh, 15 years ago. Who knows? Yeah. It's a good question. I know that I'd always be learning. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, doing a podcast is still learning how to do something. So, I mean, in 15 more years, could you be in front of a camera on a television show? I don't know, but if it's an opportunity to learn and do another skill, who knows? Something else. Like learning-wise, no question.
Yeah. It is.
How about you?
Oh, well, let me see. 15 years ago, how old was I? That's a lot of math. That's the thing. I didn't even when I started working here, like this wasn't an initial thought. I remember when I started working here, we were doing some of our pro videos, and Josh had just briefly mentioned podcasts, and I was like, just listening to podcasts recently, and I was like, that's an interesting idea. I wonder if we could suss that out and actually do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, even 6 months ago, I didn't think we'd be sitting here doing this.
Yeah.
So just in that short amount of time, we've been able to accomplish so much and talk about so much. And
yeah, I've enjoyed it. I feel like are we summing up here? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay. On podcasting, I've really enjoyed the idea that you can put yourself out there. But the neat thing is, if you end up saying something that might be misunderstood, you have a very open opportunity to not correct yourself necessarily, but explain your position, which I find is really hard to do. Typically, we've done a lot of real estate videos that are 57 seconds long because they can go on Instagram, they can go on Facebook, they can go everywhere because they fit perfectly.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how often we have to say them perfectly. And then people watch them and they know that they're sharp and they're perfect. But at the same time, that's not reality. No one lives like that.
Yeah.
So I found like podcasting, I like the fact that we can say things that you can slip your mouth, you can say the wrong word, and you can talk yourself out of it. No different than regular conversation. So, I mean, on a podcast side, I very much feel like it's just like having a conversation that's being recorded and we're showing people. It's almost like a fly on the wall kind of opportunity. And it's almost like if in 15 years, if there's another fly on the wall opportunity, I bet you we'd be doing it.
I 100% think we would be, considering you're the type of person who will be like, just gonna drop this right here and be like, if anyone wants to pick it up, that'd be pretty great.
Yeah, let's go with it.
Yeah. But anyway, we are wrapping up here because there's it's an emotional time for us.
Yeah.
But for everyone who's been listening and everyone who's been watching, thank you so much for coming on this.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, coming on this ride with us. We've loved, again, hearing what you have to say, and we can't wait to get you season 2 and talk more about business and real estate and philosophy and psychology and marketing and all the other fun stuff. So again, thank you very much for coming along this ride with us. You can again keep following us at KnowledgeBRKR for more up-to-date information about season 2 and all the other little projects that we're going to be doing in the meantime.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thanks very much for your support. And in the end of the day, visit our website, knowledgebroker.ca, and you'll see all of our different podcasts on there, a lot of the different blogs that we promote as well. And you can see everything that we're doing here to make sure that you're still very much involved with what's going on in our ecosystem. And as Trish said, we're planning on bringing out some new concepts for the new season, which will probably come in, like, we're thinking February.
Yep, maybe end of February, early March.
So we're going to do some mini stuff, hopefully in January, December, January. But at the same time, we're doing some really creative process for February. So stay tuned for some really exciting stuff to come.
Exactly. Anyway, have a great week, guys. Have a great
take care.
holiday. We'll see you in the new year.
All the best.
Bye.